2026 is already shaping up to be another great year for physical media, with movies like Prom Night 2, 3, and 4, 976 Evil 2, and one that I have longed for the longest time, Fright Night 2, already on the way. And all of them were on one of my physical media wishlist videos from last year. And another movie that made one of my wishlist videos last year, Nightlife, the one with Ben Cross, not the one with Scott Grimes, is now scheduled to be released this April. I've heard rumblings of other big releases that are on the way, and the Warner Brothers Vinegar Syndrome partnership has sparked all kinds of speculation as to which WB titles will be future VS releases. So I've decided to compile a new list of movies that I hope either get brand new or updated/upgraded releases for this year. So let's start with one that actually got a really nice limited edition Blu-ray release a few years ago. In Germany. In the US and Canada, nothing. Not even a DVD. This movie has been trapped on tape for so long. And it's such a shame, because this is such a great movie that deserves to be plucked from obscurity. I'm talking about 1988's Paperhouse, directed by Bernard Rose. This is a spellbinding fantasy horror movie about a sad and lonely little girl named Anna who finds solace in an equally sad and lonely little boy. The catch is, the boy, Mark, lives in a world she's created within her drawings, and she visits him in her dreams. Is it all just a product of the fever she's recently been stricken with? That would make sense. But then Anna discovers that her doctor is treating another young patient with eerily similar symptoms. It's Mark. Paperhouse is a thoughtful and expertly crafted dark fantasy that I absolutely adore. It's a crime that it doesn't have a special edition or limited edition UHD release with interviews, a commentary, etc. Somebody, anybody, save Paperhouse. Next on my list, not one, but two movies from a director who, everything he's done should be on 4K. Well, maybe not The Ward. I'm talking about John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China and Assault on Precinct 13. The latter already has a 4K restoration that was screened like 3 years ago. But where's the physical release? Even more confounding is Big Trouble in Little China, one of the horror master's most beloved and fun movies. And there's no doubt that it would look incredible in UHD. Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray. Actually, I think they released it a few times on Blu-ray, but no 4K. If anybody knows why Assault on Precinct 13 and Big Trouble in Little China don't have 4K releases, please let me know in the comments. Here's a movie from one of the new masters of horror, Mike Flanagan. Before movies like Dr. Sleep, Oculus, and Hush, or the excellent miniseries Midnight Mass and The Haunting of Hill House, Flanagan wrote, produced, edited, and directed Absentia. The movie got a Blu-ray from Second Sight back in 2014, but where's Arrow Video or Scream Factory to give it a 4K? Absentia was a movie that I had absolutely zero expectations for, mostly due to the completely generic and recycled artwork. And to my surprise, it turned out to be a haunting slice of indie horror with a compelling story, strong characters, and wonderfully creepy vibes. The story revolves around a young woman who links a series of disappearances to a mysterious tunnel, including the disappearance of her own husband. It's a somber, delightfully dread-filled slow burn that deserves far more attention, and a new physical release. Next is a movie that scarred me as a child, so much so that as an adult, I sought it out. The problem was I had no idea what it was called, and what little of it I remembered didn't help matters. However, a few years ago, I brought it up during a live stream, and someone in the chat said, "That sounds a lot like Fortress." And Fortress it was. I did a full review of the movie shortly thereafter. Go check that video out. Fortress is a made-for-cable movie that premiered on HBO in 1985. It stars Rachel Ward as a schoolteacher in rural Australia. One day, a group of masked and armed men take her and her students hostage, leading them into the unforgiving outback, where they intend to hold them for ransom. Eventually, Ward and her students realize that the only way they're getting out of this alive is to unalive their captors. Fortress is a gripping thriller that gets dark and pretty deep. One thing that really freaked me out as a kid were the creepy masks that the kidnappers wore, the creepiest of all being an old-school Santa Claus mask. And these guys are ruthless. There's a pretty shocking sequence in which the bad guys invade the home of an elderly couple. And these guys, unfortunately, have zero respect for their elders. And the ending of this one is pretty chilling. Fortress got this bare-bones DVD release ages ago, but it deserves far better. Let's talk about another made-for-cable movie, but not just for any cable network. I'm talking about the USA Network. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, the USA Network premiered a number of original horror movies. There was Tobe Hooper's I'm Dangerous Tonight, Rattled, The Haunting of Sarah Hardy, Trilogy of Terror 2, Buried Alive, and Nightmare on the 13th Floor. I took a particular liking to Nightmare on the 13th Floor, and whenever I would catch it on USA, I watched it. I actually did a review of it a few years back. Go check that video out. The story focuses on a journalist writing what she thinks will be a boring fluff piece about a fancy old hotel. However, she becomes more enamored with the fact that the building has a mysterious 13th floor that isn't open to the public. And for very good reason. Anyone unlucky enough to find themselves on the 13th floor is greeted by an axe-wielding maniac. It's a fun, creepy little movie with a great cast including James Brolin and Louise Fletcher. It got a VHS release, but that was it. It's been trapped on tape ever since. As a matter of fact, a lot of those movies are either trapped on tape or received long out-of-print DVD releases. How about a box set? Here's a movie that I used to rent all the time back in the day, but had practically forgotten that it existed prior to stumbling across it on Prime just a couple of weeks ago. It's a monster movie with a cute dog, and it starred Corey Haim. What's not to love? And it's called Watchers. It's not quite as good as I remembered it being, but it was still a fun watch. It's gotten Blu-rays in other regions, but aside from a long out-of-print DVD that it shared with the sequel, that's it. Somebody give this movie a Blu-ray at least. Watchers deserves to be watched. It's just too bad that Corey Haim's not here to give us a new interview and/or commentary if it ever does happen. Here's a couple of movies that got Blu-ray releases years ago, but I'm pretty sure they're both long out of print and neither one had much in the way of extras. The first is for one of my favorite Charles Bronson movies, Death Hunt. Death Hunt finds Charles Bronson as a trapper in the frigid Yukon who just wants to be left alone. Eventually, the Mounties led by Lee Marvin attempt to take him in on a bum murder rap. But Bronson, being Bronson, ain't going out like that. Death Hunt is a thrilling movie with some great action sequences, a cast that includes Carl Weathers and Angie Dickinson, and it pitted two of Hollywood's greatest tough guys against one another. It's so good. The other one that got a Blu-ray that's now out of print but deserves a fresh new release with lots of bonus content is The First Power. This is such a fun and actually pretty creepy little flick that blends elements of horror and action with an early 90s vibe. Lou Diamond Phillips plays a cop who reluctantly teams with a psychic to stop a satanic serial killer played by Jeff Kober. However, he doesn't allow the inconvenience of dying to stop his killing spree. I did a full review of The First Power a few years ago. Go check that video out. Alright, so let's check out some viewers' choice picks and see which movies you folks want to see get new physical releases. The movie that got the most mentions is another one that I'm shocked hasn't gotten a 4K yet, and that's Near Dark. Near Dark got a great DVD from Anchor Bay back in the day and a really bad Blu-ray a few years ago. There's no doubt that the movie would look great in ultra high def. Toss in some new extras along with the archival ones, maybe a few extra goodies, and there you go. Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, and Bad Taste all got some love, but Dead Alive in particular is the most deserving in my opinion. Jackson's talked about a 4K for, what, years now? And so far, nothing. What's the holdup? Ghoulies 4, that's just a given. I mean, come on. It's Ghoulies 4, directed by the Spielberg of sleaze, Jim Wynorski. And my buddy Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. The Twilight Saga Extended Editions. And 2 people thumbed it up? Let me just take care of something real quick here. There. Blood Beach is another one that always gets a few mentions when I do one of these videos. I mean, worse movies have gotten 4Ks, so why not Blood Beach 2? Summer Camp Nightmare is another one of those perennial picks. That one seems like a perfect fit for TerrorVision or Vinegar Syndrome. If I recall correctly, I think there's rights issues with that one. And Dumb and Dumber doesn't have a 4K? What?
Our pets' heads are falling off!
So there you go. My physical media wish list for 2026. Please share with me your wish lists in the comments. And if I do another one of these videos, maybe I'll include a few of your picks too. If you liked the video, please do me a big favor and drop a thumbs up on it. And if you're not following me on social media, all my links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. A huge thank you to all my patrons and channel members for your generosity and support. Become a patron today and get early access to videos, have a say in what content appears on my channel, join me for monthly live streams, exclusive watch parties, and more. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream, as well as members-only watch parties. Both those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.